That's a clip from the music video for Mutual Core by Icelandic pop sensation and possible actual elf Björk. And trust me, it only gets weirder from there. Speaking of weird, this is the hook. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Roush, and I love the University of Texas so much that not even the violent shifting of the plate tectonics could keep me away from it, if you catch my continental drift. Now, I had a bit of a shock this week. You see, I was working on my latest screenplay, Darwin's Dilemma, about a young evolutionary theorist who has a crisis of conscience when he discovers that his parents were killed by an ape. Will Charles Darwin and the colorful crew of the Beagle be able to stop the ape before he strikes again? But then I found out that Darwin's Dilemma is actually used to describe something called the Cambrian explosion, which is basically when many millions of years ago, all the animals we know of basically popped up in a very short amount of time. But I'm not a scientist, so I'll leave that explanation to someone else.
And suddenly in the Cambrian, the period which takes its name from some rocks in Wales, where it was first studied, you find rather well organized, very well organized life in the fossil record.
Now that's Dr. Ian DL, who's not a biologist, but a geologist with UT's Institute for Geophysics. Now in a paper published last week, he put forth a possible explanation for the rapid rise of life forms during that period. We see there was this period, the Precambrian and then the Cambrian, and what we do know is that in that time there was a rapid rise in sea level, which correlates with the rapid rise in life forms on the planet. You know what, Corey, can you get the whiteboard? Now, if you think back to your middle school science class, you might remember that there was once a supercontinent called Pangaea, and later on it broke off into other pieces. Two of them are very important here. See, there's this one that was kind of proto-North America. Let's call that over here and maybe get a little Florida action going on. This is called Laurentia. And then there was another big one that had a lot of other pieces in it, Australia and South America and stuff. That one's over here, and we're gonna call that Gondwana land. That's actually what it's called, by the way, if you remember, and that's over here. By the way, this is where Texas would be someday. That's the one right there. Now, there's a lot of different things we know, because I know we can look back to the last big rise in sea levels, and that was like, I don't know, 100 million years ago. This sea rise we're talking about, the Cambrian explosion, that was so long ago that all of this has been pushed down the seabed and it's been recycled, really. So there's a little recycling symbol. Maybe we thought this was up here. We don't know where this one was. So we know where they are latitudinally. We just don't know where the continents were back then longitudinally. Doctor?
While we've known for a long time that the southern continents and ancient North America were at about the same latitude, we haven't made a connection between them at that time. There therefore hasn't been an obvious mechanism for the changes that we know went on the planet at that time, particularly for the great advance in sea level.
Now, traditionally, a lot of people think that this proto-North America Laurentia was kind of stuck over with proto-Europe. But Dr. DL says it might have been stuck down by South America, and that, by separating during the Cambrian period, right when it started, it causes this big rise in sea level, and then all this ocean water, which is where all the life on Earth is at that time, gets pushed up onto land. And then when the water recedes, those life forms stay in little pools, and eventually they evolve into life that we know. And most importantly, Dr. DL's got evidence from a whopping 5, count 'em, 5 continents.
You go back into the Cambrian and the late Precambrian, you can find rocks along the margin of North America, along the margin of South America, Antarctica, Southern Africa, that are apparently related to continental separation.
If you want to learn more, you can find a link to Dr. DL's findings in the description down here below me, and you'll also find 3 UT news stories. We've got an interactive presentation that takes you up close and personal with one Lego Maniacs creations, the UT Tower and Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium. Definitely worth the look. You can also see a video about the hardships of being a hipster here in Austin. I can tell you it's not easy. And you can read one of the greatest sports stories ever told right here on the 40 Acres, the story of Freddie Steinmark, coming soon to a theater near you. Don't forget to check out the Texas Exes in our magazine, The All Call Day, and all your favorite social media sites. There they are, beaming in front of me as we speak. And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter so you can see The Hook every single week. It's over here on our website, thehook.texasexes.org, and it's down here on YouTube. And until next time, I'm Andrew Roush. Stay hooked.